Hey, this is Carl, and today we are going to review this custom Xforce Wolverine, so stay tuned. Hey YouTube! So this is the follow-up video for this custom 1 3/5 scale Xforce Wolverine Diorama. Okay, so let's start with the base. Actually, there's nothing much to talk about the base if you consider the ninjas not part of the base. The base is actually just a steel type base. The paint is not convincing because it's not realistic enough to be steel or metal looking. But most of the base will be covered by the ninjas anyway. I think it's also worth mentioning that the base is not hollow, so be ready to carry the heaviest base ever. Next we go to the ninjas. This is my first Franco piece and it did not disappoint. Now I understand all the hype if Franco sculpted a piece. Both ninjas are extremely detailed. The sculpt is nothing short of amazing. Both ninjas has this steel-like texture to make it realistic. The boots is extremely detailed and it does look like it's real. Sculpt is 100% amazing, no doubt. However, the paint lacks some detail to make it more realistic. Maybe some weathering in the armor and some dirt in the boots would have added some depth to the statue. Nonetheless, the paint is still amazing. Complements the sculpt very well. And for a custom piece, the paint is flawless. It's the first time that I've felt that a custom piece feels like it's a licensed statue. Also worth mentioning again, both ninjas are not hollow and are extremely heavy. As for the portraits, one of them looks really clean, like I said, lacks detail in paint for a more realistic outcome. While the other one has his face sliced by Wolverine. Blood doesn't look real though, but it's okay, since it's a very minor part of the whole statue. Overall, both portraits still looks great. The arms for both ninjas are sculpted very well. The only drawback is the gun. And the gun kinda looks like it's a toy plastic. Also, one of the arms of the ninja is extending out of the base. It's kinda annoying and I wish they didn't make it like that. They could have just folded it in. Now let's start with Wolverine. For his legs, we can clearly see that his boots is extremely detailed and textured, kinda like those of the ninjas. I think these small details help make a Franco sculpt look amazing. Wolverine has some scratches on his legs and a bullet hole. Blood isn't lifelike, the same with the ones on the ninja's portrait. His suit also has this dotted texture all throughout the gray areas, while the black ones on his torso doesn't have textures, which is a great contrast. So on Wolverine's torso, he again has some wounds on his left chest. The paint seems to look better on this wound. His shoulder pad seems to be plastic, not that it matters that much anyway. Paint on his arms look amazing, to be honest. Like I said, this piece doesn't feel like a custom statue. However, I wish they have highlighted the veins and the body hair. Currently, the veins and the body hair is just painted the same as the skin. Again, amazing details on his gloves. The design has a similar vibe to his boots. Only thing bothering me is that the two closed fist hands have the claws not aligned or not margined properly. But I'm not sure as well if they should be equally gapped. I also would like to mention that I really like how they did the arm with the sword. They sculpted the grip of the sword to the hand, not like most statues I have to link the weapons together in between the hands. So I like this approach much better. Again, like the claw, the sword doesn't seem to be standing straight up. Before I forget, anatomy is perfect. It's a Franco sculpt, what do you expect? Next we go to the portraits, and the first one will be this clean unmasked portrait. So this is a very traditional Franco Wolverine look. Pretty much all his unmasked Wolverines look like this. Very nice sculpt on the hair, also nice paint. You can clearly see the details thanks to the blue contrast. The eyes are stickers and painted with something glossy. However, I think they missed the position of the sticker. Now this portrait is kinda looking up and not straight ahead. And since they have painted the eyes with something glossy, I wish they could have also painted the mouth with the same gloss. Paint looks really clean though. Next is this damaged unmasked portrait. Sculpt is pretty much the same as the first one, except that the left side of his face has been sliced up and is showing some adamantium. Paint on the wound is not realistic. The paint color is just similar to that of his gums. Maybe some realistic blood paint and gloss would have made a lot of difference here. Next is this masked portrait with the beard. Nothing worth mentioning really. The mouth is the same as the other two portraits. The beard is sculpted similarly as the hair of the first two portraits. But the eyes is painted red though, which looks really nice. However, the gray part on his cowl doesn't have the similar dotted texture as his suit, and the black areas doesn't have those either. Now it's time to check out the fourth portrait. And this is also my favorite out of the four. As you can see, the black areas of the cowl has a leather type texture to it, unlike the previous one. Eyes is still painted red. This is also the only portrait with an open mouth. Sculpt and paint in the insides of his mouth is pretty clean. Some gloss and maybe a drooling saliva would have added more realism to the piece, but still great paint overall. So in conclusion, amazing sculpt, duh, it's a Franco Carlesimo sculpt. Amazing paint by the factory. Amazing engineering. I think it's worth mentioning that everything fits very well. The magnets are super strong. And like I said earlier, the overall assembly of this piece makes you think that this is not a custom statue. This is definitely a high quality statue. I think the commissioner intended to make this piece very special. He hired the best sculptor, the prototype was painted by the best painter, even the statue itself is not hollow, and expect this piece to be very heavy. All the pieces fit well with no gaps, in my case anyway. Really amazing piece. What's even more amazing is that you can get this piece close to retail in the aftermarket. Anyway, I bought this statue for $1,100 US, plus PayPal fees and of course shipping. Edition size is 118 though, and I think it's the only drawback to this piece. I also think the edition size is preventing this piece from increasing its value. But if you are the person who doesn't get bothered by edition sizes, then adding this to your collection is definitely worth considering. It's almost perfect really. So for the scores, I will give the paint on this piece an 8 out of 10. Application of paint is amazing. There are no areas that are still sticky or paint spills. Everything seems to be painted within the lines, including the inside of the mouth. The paint seems to be accurate to that of the prototype, minus some areas like the veins on the arms and the paint color on the wounds. The only drawbacks I can find is some areas of the ninjas needs more weathering for a much realistic effect, especially the gun. The wound and mouth also needs better paint, and the gloss effect of course. On the sculpt, I think this is a 10 out of 10, perfect score. Anatomy, like I said, is perfect for all three characters. Small details and textures are very consistent on all three characters. Wolverine does seem to resemble what a Wolverine will look like. All the ninjas seem to resemble themselves as well. This is also a modern take of the two characters involved, hence the details and textures. And if I was to grade this factory, I'd give it a 5 out of 5. Molding is excellent, all details and textures are clearly there. I couldn't really say more about the production time it needed because of COVID. Everything fits very well like a licensed statue. Packaging is perfect, nothing came broken, in my case anyway. With that said, I really wish that this could be a standard to all custom statues. And lastly, if I was to grade the commissioner as well, I'll give him a 5 out of 5. His decision making towards this piece greatly shows that he was after quality. The concept or art direction of the piece is amazing. There is definitely a wow factor or good presence to this piece. The render does look as good as the actual statue. Of course, for its originality too. Plus points to actually making this piece stable and not lean in the future. And everything just made a lot of sense for this piece. So that's a wrap. That's it for this review of this custom 1 3/5 scale Xforce Wolverine Diorama. This is Carl and I'll see you in our next video. Thanks for watching till the end. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this.